Olivia, then in September of 2022, you started Kids Care Finder, and that was because of some of the childcare services need that you had and the challenges that you face.
To say, challenge almost doesn't seem like a strong enough word, right? It's like freaking impossible. We have almost 2 million parents every year across the US that are forced out of the workforce because it is so impossible. And so
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today, the Startup Pulse Show. I have a great friend and a female founder, Olivia Rutman, and her company is Kid Care Finder. So we are going to talk to her today. Olivia is a leader, innovator. She is also a keynote speaker, and she is a VC-backed founder. So, for the young founders who are going to listen today to our podcast, we will be talking to Olivia about her fundraising journey and what to do, pros and cons, what to do, what not to do, and things like that. She is also a top 40 under 40, uh, 3x boy mom. So she has three kids, and all of them are boys. As I earlier said, CEO at Kids Care Finder, and she is a seasoned sales professional. So welcome to the show, Olivia.
thank you so much for having me, Anshuman. It's good to be here.
Yeah. Tell us a little more about that we don't know, or the many people don't know about you.
Many people don't know. Well, I started in banking at 18 years old. I was a part-time greeter, so my job was literally to just welcome people into the bank. And I started in July of 2008, which, if your history will remind you, was the week that the 2008 financial crisis began. So it was a very strange time to start in banking and a little bit of a whirlwind, but somehow it worked out. And I went on to have a really amazing 15-year career at Wells Fargo and sales leadership and a lot of time in sales enablement roles. And so it was just a really great place to kind of be and grow up and learn about business and finance and helping solve big problems. And so that's really where I grew up.
Okay, great. So you are in Carlsbad, California, and for the audience who are maybe international today, Carlsbad is a place between Orange County and San Diego County. So how did you land in Carlsbad?
Yeah, I was born in kind of North San Diego County and kind of grew up there. And then I've lived all over San Diego. I've lived downtown, kind of Hillcrest, North Park, and I'm more of a suburban type of girl, but I did like my city years for a few years. And then I bought my first house up in Temecula, which is kind of out in the desert. And then when we started having kids, COVID started hitting. We started to see, all right, out here in the desert, all the kids are inside all summer, and we didn't really want that. So as soon as we got the opportunity, we knew we wanted to be coastal, kind of North County, San Diego. And so we jumped on the first opportunity to move to Carlsbad, and this is where we will be forever. I will not leave Carlsbad for no matter what.
Great. Yeah, welcome to the Southern California and the weather and everything. It is so great. So nice to have you here. 15 years in banking industry.
Mhm.
Take us through that, the learnings.
It's kind of a roller coaster. I was in retail banking for the first 5 years, which was very intense, aggressive sales, heavy micromanagement, 3 check-in calls a day. Everything was kind of wild. But I figured out kind of the sales methodology pretty early. And so I became the, youngest branch manager in the company by like 21. I was managing a pretty big team and pretty affluent branches. And I think a lot of the learning, in your younger years, you're so results focused and it's all about the numbers and, results and, getting your names at the top of the charts and all those things. But then I think as you kind of evolve through your leadership journey and take a step back and grow into new things. And then, I spent 10 years on the commercial side. And so then I think you really start to learn, the people aspect and what does servant leadership really look like and all of these other things that you kind of don't get when you're a 21-year-old manager just trying to bust quotas. So I think that's and becoming a parent certainly helps with that, patience and empathy and all of those things. So But I think what it teaches you how to, work cross-functionally really, really well. Even in banking, I was working with engineers, with product, with marketing, with sales, with leaders and executive stakeholders and how they think and like to see things, right? And so working in the startup world, it's very similar. You have all of these different personas that are your kind of your stakeholders and your team and people that you have to be able to speak each of their languages and meet them where they're at and know, how to get them to deliver for you and how to deliver for them in a meaningful way. And so I think it was just such a great, journey to work in a lot of different things, a lot of different people, a lot of different leaders, and
Mhm.
really have a very good customer centric vision on like how do you best serve your customers. And those customers could be internal or external at times, but it really was a great foundation for being able to go off and start a business.
Yeah, so Olivia, then in September of 2022, you started Kids Care Finder, and that was because of some of the childcare services need that you had and the challenges that you faced. So tell the story, what were those challenges and how it helped you in shaping up the Kid Care Finder?
Yeah, to say, challenge almost doesn't seem like a strong enough word, right? It's like freaking impossible at times. And so that's why we have almost 2 million parents every year across the US that are forced out of the workforce because it is so impossible. And so I was coming out of COVID with 3 boys, 3 and under. And so I needed to find childcare for 3 totally different stage development levels, all of those things. And I quickly found out, well, first of all, there's not one place you can go to cover each of these needs. And so that was infuriating. It's like, we've got one-stop shops for everything else. I buy every product I need in one place, right? If you need something for your home, if you need to travel, like all these one-stop shops should exist, but busy parents didn't have one for kids. And so that was pain point number one. Number two, none of the existing websites you could filter by what your needs were. So you'd have to call dozens and dozens of places just to ask the same 10 questions over and over again to see, well, do they even have space? Can I afford this place? Do they take infants, right? And so it's just kind of the same dance. And so that's why most parents are reporting it takes 3 to 6 months of searching to secure childcare for one child, right? So I had 3, and my maternity leave was not a year long. So I had to figure things out very quickly. And it took me 3 months or so to find preschool for one kid. So then I had to start all over for the second child. And then you kind of get into the big pain point number 3, which is if you have 1 or 2 older kids in preschool or daycare, then trying to afford a full-time nanny for a newborn is incredibly expensive. And so again, that's where a lot of moms get forced out because once you have multiple kids in care, the economics just don't make sense anymore. And so no one was facilitating like nanny sharing where you could share with another family and split the cost. And so it just
Right.
seemed like so broken, so impossible. There's all these pain points. Parents were hiring caregivers right off of Facebook and Nextdoor with no background check, no references. Like it was scary, but people were just so desperate, they didn't have a better option. And so I finally decided, all right, enough is enough. If no one else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. And so got to work, registered a domain name, started calling some friends who could start designing and prototyping, and just got to it.
Yeah, so on one side, you have the young parents who are looking for childcare and childcare related services. And then on the other side, you have all these service providers. So take us through the Kids Care Finder service offering. What are those offerings that are available for young parents?
Yeah, and the interesting thing when I started on this was I was thinking of just the parent perspective. But as I
Mhm.
talked to more and more providers, it was like, wow, the providers don't have much support either. You have a lot of people who are just caregivers, but they're having to be administrators, they're having to be marketers, they're having to be all these other things, and that's really not their skill set. And there's really not a lot of support. And even just to get licensed and go through that process, nobody's there to hold your hand through that and walk you through it. So as this evolved, it was like, okay, we actually really need to help the provider side too, so that we can help grow supply and get more providers licensed so that we don't have 2 year long wait lists and people not able to find a spot. So right now we're kind of go to market first in California and in different phases. So our phase one categories sort of focus on the core childcare offerings. So we have in-home daycares, we have daycare centers, preschools, nanny agencies, private schools, and now summer camps. And summer camps is the number one pain point for school age parents. So they will be very excited to know that we are addressing that here. And we have some really, really exciting things coming next month. We'll be post MVP. And so the launch of our full product will include some really great tools for summer camps.
Okay. So again, now let's break all your service offering. So first time parent land on your website, kidscarefinder.com. Now what happens from there?
So we've set it up so that any type of care you're looking for follows a very similar flow. So you could look now, you could look again in 2 years or in 5 years, and you're going to have a very similar experience. So it's not like you're starting over from scratch. So you would select a type of category that you're interested. Say maybe you have a newborn baby, so you might lean more towards a home type of daycare, or maybe a nanny agency type of daycare versus a larger center. So you can go down those flows, put exactly where you're looking for care, when you need it, so that we can see who actually has availability within your time frame. And then you can apply different filters. And the filters are so great because that really addresses that 3 to 6 months of searching. So you can apply filters for if they have an extended day program, if they provide meals, if there's a foreign language or religious affiliation you're looking for, what's the teacher to child ratio? And then once you do your search, you can even see more information like what time is nap time, and are they providing snacks, and what types of activities are they doing with the kids? So you get so much information up front. It really equips parents to be able to feel confident before reaching out to a provider, because they already know, okay, on paper, this is a really good fit. And you weren't getting all that information before. Some places, like some websites, you'll just get basically a marketplace that just lists provider names. But how is that helpful, right? I have 100 more questions. So we really take pride in the data we capture on the front end from the providers to make sure we're able to really tell parents what it would look like and what it would mean if you send your child there. And then we even have parent reviews and introduction videos, so you could see a little virtual tour or see a little interview with the caregiver, so you get the feel too, and in addition to just the information. And that is such a big part of it. When you're going to hand over your baby, you need to know, like, what's the feel of this person? Are they warm? Are they friendly? Does it feel like a good personality fit, on top of just hours and pricing and things like that.
Okay, so on both sides of the business, one side is the parent, one side is the caregiver provider side. So is there a subscription based plan for both these parties?
No, so our revenue model is B2B SaaS. So the family side, our part of our core mission is making childcare more affordable. So we do not have a subscription model for families. The providers have 3 account options. So it's a freemium model. So they can be free, premium, or sponsored. Free gets them listed. Premium gets them all of the administrative tools. And this is really where our product gets very sticky and really enhances our lifetime value, is because we have tools like waitlist management, online applications, electronic enrollment. So it really is more of a SaaS platform for the providers. And then the lead generation is just sort of the cherry on top. And then if they want to be a sponsored provider, it's very similar to the premium, but then that gets them at the top of the search results, highlighted, sponsored badge, kind of like what you might see on Yelp for a sponsored provider.
Okay, that sounds good. How many people have you served so far?
So we did a San Diego based pilot, and we have about 800 pilot users from that, some early revenue from that. And what we've been working on the last few months is really gearing up for the launch of our full product. And so we've been doing a ton of interviews with users to figure out, for all of our premium features, for all of these summer camp pain points, what are all of the functionalities and things we would want to be able to do. And so we're really excited that the full product is almost ready, and it's going to launch in May. So it will hit before summer. And so that's when we'll really start ramping up in terms of sales and marketing. We'll have all of our premium features ready. We already have a wait list of providers that will convert to premium. So we're focused more on free users for the pilot so we could get all that feedback. So now we've started a wait list of providers who will go premium, and then we'll really start pushing it out into the world more broadly. And anybody at that point in California will be able to sign up, find care, all of that. So it won't just be San Diego based.
Okay, very nice. Do you have plans in the future to roll it out nationally?
Absolutely. So we're raising our first round right now, and that will really fund us through kind of some of our AI features and really get us to that product market fit we'd like to be at. Once we raise our seed round, we'll sort of start preparing, building our app, getting ready for that nationwide expansion. And then we'll probably do somewhat of a regional expansion focus. So probably like a West Coast, Northeast, Southeast, Central kind of, so we can roll out in waves. But the way that we formulated it so that we can get data in advance for our supply side, that really will set us up to be able to scale more quickly and not have a spotty marketplace for users. So that's a really exciting way that we spent, last year really trying to de-risk the company and solve for that kind of supply demand problem. And so we're excited now that we've done that. We have almost 50,000 providers in just California now loaded into our database. And so we'll be able to provide a really great experience from day one.
Yeah, Olivia, what you're building, I see that there could be some international application also, because many of the emerging countries, they don't have this kind of infrastructure. What you're building here, and just think of it, in the US there was no infrastructure, and you are bringing that as a SaaS model. So there could be some franchising opportunities back in countries like Canada, India, Europe. Who knows? So,
Yeah, it's interesting. It'll see, there's definitely one of our top exit targets is IAC, which is a huge global brand, right? And so having some private equity power from them to be able to take it nationally and even potentially globally. I mean, this is not a US centric problem, but we're feeling it very hard. And I do think it can be more of a problem here because we do have less reliance on family members, and we do have, a record number of moms in the workforce, and we have just a lot. And we also have the COVID supply deficit, right? There was 100,000 centers that closed during COVID, and only about 60% have reopened. So we have this really massive deficit for supply. So I think it's a great place to really start and get that brand recognition, but anything is on the table from there.
yeah, absolutely. Do you have a co-founder in the company?
So I don't have a co-founder, but I do have a fantastic CTO who I found last year. It took me a while to get there. That was definitely the number one challenge, trying to be a solo founder, not technical, building a technology company, and trying to put people kind of in that role who weren't necessarily right for the role, weren't really vested in the company's success. So I have Ben now, who is the dad of 4 girls. So he completely understands the problem. He's built many startups from scratch and worked for really large, tech companies. So he's got kind of the best of both and knows what it takes to scale. He started a couple companies himself. So now that I have that figured out, our tech journey has gotten significantly better and easier, and we are on track to deliver on time our full product next month. So I'm grateful for him every single day. He could become a co-founder down the road, but right now he is being our fabulous CTO and doing everything we need him to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I see that your product often needs a lot of marketing help, so that people get to know about you. That this kind of a service is available. So digital marketing will be a big play, and certainly once you get funded, you can start thinking along those lines. Because on the both sides, people need to know that you exist, and people on both sides are signing up for this. So what is your so far marketing strategy? How you are reaching your potential customers, and how you are signing up the service providers?
The good news about how we did the data is it allows us to display those listings even if those providers have not signed up with us. So those 50,000 providers we've loaded into the database parents will be able to see all of them and some details about their program day one, even before we've acquired them. That allows us to acquire the supply side more organically over time because we can start sending them leads through our platform and start showcasing them on there before they've even become our customer. So it's kind of a good organic traffic funnel. We also captured all of their contact information as a part of the data, so we can also start nurturing them through email campaigns and things like that. So first, we'll be really focused on the parent acquisition side. And so we'll be using a few different approaches there. Ambassadors are a great way to reach moms because there's a lot of mom groups, a lot of mom social media communities and things like that. So I've created an ambassador program where they'll be sort of spreading the word through those organic channels. We'll also be partnering with a lot of California-based mom influencers that have really big followings of California moms who are struggling with this. And the cool thing is a lot of them are so excited because they get asked about childcare constantly and never have a good answer. So some of them are promoting us for free. Some of them are promoting us for a big discount. So it's a really great topic for them to be able to share and create user-generated content for and really expand the reach. And then we'll do some paid and organic social ourselves. But yeah, really kind of leaning into the social media ambassador community mom influencer strategy on the parent side initially. There's also some bigger plays here, I think, with like B2G and some enterprise things where like this is a huge problem for military families who have to relocate on like 2 weeks notice, spouse deployed, you got 3 kids you got to find everything for in a short time, right? And even the bases have very long wait lists. There's no wait list transparencies. There may be moms on base who could start a home daycare, just need support. So I think there's some opportunity we could partner with some bases and even some like corporate types of partnerships to help fund summer camps or fund emergency care, things like that. So those will be kind of the bigger, longer term plays. But initially, between the data, the organic traffic funnels, and kind of the social approach, that's will be what we'll be focused on pretty much this year and next year.
Very nice, yeah. And yeah, and then some of the digital marketing work can be outsourced also. So if you're looking for some referral and all, reach out to me. I can connect you with a couple of folks. Where are you building the technology? Is it all in-house? Is it outsourced? What are you doing?
It's all in-house. So we actually have hired a couple of full-time developers in Bolivia. So they are our full-time employees. They're fantastic guys. And I'm just so grateful. It, again, took a long time to find the right people, right? Those first couple years of the tech journey are bumpy. But once
Yeah.
you get the right team, it's just life-changing. And so we have a third one from Colombia who's helping us right now get through the rewrite. That will be temporary. But we have 2 full-time, full-stack engineers in Bolivia. And then we have our CTO, Ben. And so it'll be the 3 of them long term. And then once we close the round, we will look to add an AI engineer, ideally in South America as well, that can really start building out the AI functionality that we're going to be launching.
Mhm. Yeah, so in that sense, if you're looking for an AI engineer, I could be of some help to you to at least finding the talent in India. And there is
Okay.
a service called EOR, which is Employer for Records. So even though you don't have a legal entity in India, you can hire the talent, and the talent will be working 100% for you.
Yeah.
And the company will be taking care of all the compliance, the payroll, the HR. But it is very different from the Upwork model. In Upwork,
Mhm.
what happens, Olivia, that somebody else, you are looking at someone else's profile, look at all the 5 star, and you give the work, and now these guys are subcontracting the work,
Mm.
because the payment is on delivery basis, right? Through the EOR, it is that you are involved in each part of the hiring. So you will be interviewing the resource, you will be negotiating the salary with the help of the company, and then the candidate will be 100% dedicated to you and to your team, and the company in between will be charging you their actual salary plus a monthly processing fee to do the HR and the compliance and the management process. So this is picking up very, very fast, and I can help you in uh, southern, the South America as well as India. If the talent takes you there, if you feel that
Yeah.
the talent is available in those countries, then certainly something can be done.
Yeah, that's a good model.
Yeah.
That's what we have with our current engineers, and it's so helpful. There's an in-country entity that handles all of that, and we just have full-time employees that are fantastic, and it's great.
Yeah, great. Tell us about your fundraising experience. When did you start it? Where are you today? How the future looks like?
Well, I will tell you, my timing is always impeccable. So I told you I started in banking in 2008, right? When the financial crisis started. I quit my full time corporate job about 2 years ago, right when the same month that Russia invades Ukraine, that Silicon Valley Bank fails, and that all funding stops. So that was my start to my startup fundraising journey. So again, not the best timing. And I will say with full confidence that raising capital is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And you will remember I had 3 boys, 3 and under during COVID. So that's a pretty steep statement. And, I didn't know all the things working against me when I got into it, right? I didn't know 0.5% of companies ever get venture capital. I didn't know women get 2% of that 0.5. So then, you add on marketplace and care economy, and that percentage gets real small. And so, and then everyone kind of stopped doing pre-seed. So that was another challenge. And so when you have everything working against you, I think the only thing that gets you through is just that grit and that, I am not giving up. I am not going anywhere. I'm going to make this happen. And you just keep going and hustling every single day, and you start to find some believers. And so, my first few checks in were angels who were parents who got it, who understood it. And then I had kind of, the San Diego Angel Conference last year where I got a lot of hype for that. We were finalists. We made it to the top 4 out of over 100 companies. And so we went through due diligence for the first time and kind of got some exposure to angels there. And we got an SPV from that group. And then, we kind of had the summer slowdown. And I think when things really turned for us was when we figured out this data thing, this supply and demand issue that people were always so afraid with marketplaces that you have to acquire both sides at once, and it's going to be difficult and too expensive. And so once we really worked through that and showed we had that path to scale, to acquire, to increase our LTV with our, tools, things like that, we started to really pick up. We got a lead angel investor in the fall. Then we had 3 VCs, 1, 2, 3 come shortly after. And so, to come out of it saying like, wow, we beat the odds. We beat that percentage is kind of amazing. I think some of the challenges are still that some of the funds that are investing in women founders are smaller kind of impact type of funds. So the check sizes are lower, right? So I've gotten 3 VC checks, but they total, 100K in total, where as opposed to 250 to 500 checks, right? Where I could have over $1 million. So I think that's still where some of the challenges lie, is there are more emerging fund managers who are female founder focused and impact focused. But as those fund size ramp up, that will open up the pool of capital more. And now we do have some bigger ones that are looking at the deal. But I think when you're starting out, those early impact funds and those believers who are angels are the best way to just kind of get stuff done. You got to make every dollar stretch so far, but when you keep making progress and keep sending those meaningful updates and keep staying in front of people, they see that you're getting things done without my check. So they have a lot more confidence that say, okay, if I give you my check, I know you're going to do something with it.
Yeah. No, all the best for you. So, how much are you raising right now, Olivia?
So we've raised about 350,000 out of a total and $1 million in pre-seed funding. We sort of divided our pre-seed round up into 2 chunks because we had a pretty high interest list, and we only needed the first 500 to like get the full product live in market and kind of fund us through the summer. So our high priority focus is to close the last 150 in that first half by summer. And then if we can, if we need to, we'll raise the second half in the fall. We've got a lot of balls up in the air right now, a lot of funds looking at it, but some of the funds are new. So they're trying to hit their first targets too before they can deploy. But some of them, we're already in due diligence, right? We've been talking for a while. And so I have to believe I've got the confidence that we'll hit it and we'll get there. But, it's all a matter of timing and what's going to hit when. So we hope to close the last, 650. We're happy to oversubscribe if somebody wants to throw in a bigger check. But we plan to at least close the first half by summer and the second half by fall.
Okay. And right now you're doing it as a price round, or it is a safe note?
We're on a safe. We have a pretty reasonable terms. We got a 5 million, pre-money cap with a 20% discount, so we don't have an egregious valuation that would turn anyone off. And we do have a lead angel, so we've got kind of terms set, and now a few people, all really good, helpful people on the cap table that either have experience, connections, passion for the space. So we have a really good group of investors who are just really passionate about the mission.
Very nice. And just so we came up with a idea of a founder-led SPV, where the founder pays for the SPV fee, so that even a small investor, like if somebody is writing a $5,000 or $10,000 check, it can directly go to the company rather than they paying out of the $5,000, $500 is going towards the expense of the SPV. So it has become a very popular model these days, because the investors are liking it because they don't have to pay the fee. So something to keep in the back pocket. You may run into investor and who are willing to write smaller check. Don't crowd your cap table. So the cap table has to be clean, and to keep it clean, the SPV is the way to do it.
Yeah, we had an SPV already when I spoke to Ashish about the app the first time last year, but I did send it to a couple. I sent it to the San Diego Angel Conference people, said, hey, check this out for next year. And then I also sent it to a couple founders recently who were asking about SPVs. So I've had you guys on my mind.
Great. Sounds good. Good, good, good. We are having a Thai Investor Summit this year on April 28th. And this time, the way we have structured is it is more of a networking between the investor and the founders. So we have really allocated big chunk of time. So there is a keynote speaker, and in the whole day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., just two panel discussions. And those are also the panel discussions are towards the investment only. So the rest of the time it is booth visiting, and then this time what we have done that there will be investors from various groups. We'll be having a table of 10, so that anybody can go sit there and talk to that investor one on one. So what we are trying to do is more of a networking between founders and investor. You have attended our previous events. If you are available, then something to check out. It is on a Monday, April 28th, and then obviously from 30th we are going to Thai Silicon Valley for their big one over there. And I think Plug and Play is also having a event same time in Bay Area, in San Jose. So, but I think you have been very liked by all the investor groups that we know of. Many of them know you by your first name, Olivia. So congratulations on that. But I think now it is time for you to also venture out into the Silicon Valley area of investor groups. So more than happy to make some introduction if you are making a trip in that area, because as I always tell to founders that ideas are good, founders are extremely good, that is needed, but ultimately it is the relationship that you have with the investor or the investor group. That is the, that helps you. And you are a pro at that. I have seen you, you are such a wonderful presenter.
Oh,
People would like to, to all the founders, listening to this, go search on Olivia on the internet, and if you find any of her video presenting, learn from it. You are a natural talker, you are a storyteller, and those things are so much more important when you are conveying your uh, startup idea to the investor. Because many a times what happens that people get bogged into their greatest technology and the platform that they are building, and they forget about telling the investor about the business. And the investors are only interested in the business. They need to understand the deep technical work which is going, and how good the database is, and things like that. It is that where are you in your business, how much money are you looking for, what is my X return that you think you can give us. So any comments on that? How have been your journey in meeting with so many investors, and going through the process with those angel groups or VC firms?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I think you really hit on it, is like, especially at the pre-seed stage, right? They're backing the founder, and you hear that so much. So if you're spending all day just doing cold email outreach, you're probably not going to get a dollar, because they're backing the founder and they don't know anything about you. Like, you can customize your cold email outreach, and I still do it from time to time, especially when I find
Mhm.
a fund that's very thesis aligned, very mission aligned. But I spend so long trying to highly customize the email as much as I can to make sure that they know I'm not just sending them some generic email template, right? But they are backing the founder. So the best way is to be out there meeting investors in person and getting them to see you, getting them to like you, and then getting their contact information so you can follow up. And when I just gave my first keynote like 2 weeks ago on this, it was, you kind of have to think about, I did like the three P's, right? Like planning, and then it was planning, purposeful, and persistent. So you kind of have to
Yeah.
think of the planning kind of like your go-to-market strategy for your business, right? Like, you really have to figure out, who am I targeting? How am I targeting them? Am I going to events? Am I hosting an event? Like, what is the outreach going to look like? And make sure it's very thoughtful. And then the purposeful is kind of like, you need a lead magnet to get them hooked and to get them interested, right? And then the persistence is kind of like your sales funnel, where now you're nurturing those leads and getting them, you're sending meaningful updates, you're staying in front of them, you're showing them you're making progress to ultimately hope to convert them. And so if you kind of go at it blind without a real plan, and you're targeting crowdfunding and angels and VCs and friends and family like all at once, and you're just trying to cast the super wide net,
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be effective. You really have to have a focused strategy, and it can be challenging, right? In like San Diego, even Orange County, I tend to think software is not usually, the buzz, right? A lot of life science and biotech and med device. So you kind of have to break through that. And, sometimes events are good where there are investors coming from LA, San Fran, New York, who might be more software friendly. And so I try to look at events as who's coming beforehand and who are the people that seem like, okay, they're doing pre-seed software, they like female founders, things like that. And I'll try to figure out where they're speaking and when, and even catch them if I can before their
Yeah.
panel, because after, there's like a line of people that want to talk to them. And so I'll try to reach out on LinkedIn before the event. So it's like, hey, I reached out to you already. I already know who you are and what you invest in, and nobody else does. And then try to get in front of them there and secure some type of follow up, and then kind of nurture it from there. So that's how I think I've kind of made it and been successful. It's like, you have to stay on top of them. You have to be persistent. You have to stay in front of them, because you know how much deal flow investors see every year, right? And they maybe invest in a handful to a dozen. So you can't let them forget you for 1 minute. You've got to stay in their face and telling them what you're doing so that they can't forget.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Truly
Thank
appreciate this conversation, and I really loved it. It is always a pleasure to talk to you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. And you have a fund now too. So you give me a call if you're ready to
Yes.
write a check.
No, let's talk about that because I would like to revive your application and show it to Shankar with your latest what you're doing, and Assis, myself, and Shankar. We started a fund because we were all writing checks individually, so we thought it would be a good way to bring in the fund so that we have a SPV platform, we have a deal flow
Mhm.
platform, so fund goes a very long way along with it. And then as you know, through my Thai connections and through TCA, JJ Richa, Pismo Venture, and whatnot, we can really pull together a good amount of Southern California investors. If the deal is really really nice for the from the investor lens.
Yeah.
So we'll certainly be in touch, Olivia, and all the best to you.
Same to you. Thanks, Anshuman.
Yeah.